this acres. You won't believe it, but now our entire RV, thanks to Renogy, can run fully and totally off grid. Today, Tony's going to install it, and then stay to the end because I'm going to walk you step by step on exactly how easy it is to DIY this install.
Wow, fam. Renogy sent us out the Go Further Solution, 7.6 kilowatt hours. Huge shout out to Renogy for sending this out. Shout out to Renogy. All right, fam. Here we got two 200-watt solar panels, 16 BB efficiency, long lifespan solar panels. We got 3,000-watt inverter right here, the charge controller, all the wires, the battery shunt, and this is the 12.8 volt 300 amp hour deep cycle lithium iron phosphate batteries, 2 of them. All right, fam, now it's time to get it unboxed. This is a Renogy solar panel, one of them, 16 BB Shadow Flex solar panel. All right, fam, now it's time to get it installed. This is everything Renogy sent out: the wires, the cables, 2 300 amp hour batteries, the shunt, Bluetooth, even the solar brackets, and 2 solar panels, and 2 300 amp hour batteries. All right, this is a Renogy diagram we following: inverter, breaker, bus bars, remote, battery shunt, MPT charger, starter battery, and the 2 batteries. So we're going to follow this diagram to the T. All right, we're up on the roof, installing the solar panels. This was very easy. I had all the wires.
Alright, so now for the tutorial installation. First, we're going to start off with the 3,000 watt impulse sine wave inverter. This inverter has a remote switch that comes with it. This is the remote section right here. This is off, and this right here is on. If you do it this way and turn it on REM, then you can use the button. And notice that with this remote, Renogy also gives you an extra cord. So you can take this cord and extend it anywhere you want in your RV, and then you can hang this up. And that way you don't have to come back to the inverter to turn it on and off. You can use the remote. Okay, so just like the diagram, Renogy has the inverter, and it has the red for the hot wire and the negative for the negative wire. The red wires, the cable wires that they give you, is labeled inverter on the label. In addition to that, the wires already come with the connectors and the shrink wrap already connected to it. So this says inverter, and this part right here is labeled to go to the fuse. From here, this says fuse, and then it's labeled to go to the first breaker switch. And right here it says breaker switch, and it's labeled to go to the first red bus bar. If you come up here, from the negative cable is labeled inverter, and then it's labeled bus bar. From here you have the bus bar, and then it comes down all the way to the shunt. And let me explain to you about the shunt. On the shunt, it has a B under here. That lets you know that it's B is for battery, and then it has a P for power. So when it comes down around here, this is going into the P for power, and then this other cable right here says shunt, and then it's coming around here and it says battery. So on this side it has a B, and on this side it has a P if I was to lift that up, so you can clearly know how to connect your battery shunt. Okay, so now that we're down here to the battery shunt, I just want to show you this one that's labeled B. This is coming out of the shunt, going to the first battery, the 12.8 volt by 300 amp hour battery, and it's going into the negative side, and these are actually color coded. And then this negative battery has another cable that's connected so it can be parallel to the second battery. Okay, so now we're going to explain the positive side. So remember, we came down from the breaker to the bus bar, which is labeled. Now here is the other cable, is labeled bus bar, and it's coming over to the breaker. And remember, these cables are labeled, so you can't go wrong. Okay, and now from the breaker, it says battery breaker, is coming to the fuse, and this says fuse right here. Okay, and then this cable says fuse, and then it's coming around and it's labeled to go to the battery. All right, and then from this positive battery, it's going parallel to the second battery. Okay, now I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the shunt.
The shunt has a small red wire that connects to the positive battery for the shunt itself. The large big cables measures the battery current. The small black wire is a sensor that allows the shunt to measure the battery's voltage.
All right, so notice that the shunt also has lights on here. So the green lets you know that it's connected appropriately. And then also too, this shunt is Bluetooth compatible with your Renogy app. So you'll be able to actually see this battery shunt inside your Renogy app. So if you see here, we have the Bluetooth component, and this component right here allows the entire Renogy system to connect with the Renogy app. Okay, so now we're going to go over our solar panel connections. Our solar panels are connected in parallel on the roof. And then you see we have our two wires coming in right here for our solar panels. One of the wires is connected to the negative bus bar, and the other wire, PV wire, is connected right here to the DC charge controller. So these are the battery sensing wires that are connected to the DC charge controller, and it goes in this middle port right here, and then it comes down and it splits open. You have your positive and your negative, and you hook them to the battery, and they do come with rings. So what this wire does is simply just tells the charge controller the battery voltage. All right, think of these wires as the system's eyes. They help the charge controller monitor the voltage safely so that it can be charged accurately. So I also want to note on this 50 amp DC to DC charge controller, the two ports that we're not using. The first port is the battery temperature sensor, and it's normally used if you have lead acid batteries. Because we're using lithium batteries, it already has a BMS sensor monitor inside of the batteries. This port right here is the ignition port, and it's used when the vehicle has a charger that's installed, when the vehicle has an alternator. It can be connected to an ignition signal so that the charger can only operate when the engine is running. This also prevents the charger from draining the starter battery when the vehicle is turned off. Okay, we're inside of the Renogy app, and right now we have 322.86 total charging watts coming in, and it shows that the full charging time is 1 hour and 46 minutes. You can also see the battery to the left, and it says it's full at 92.9%. You also see the DC charge controller, and it shows you the 363 watts, and we're going to click on that. And now we're inside of the DC charge controller menu, You can see the battery charging. You can see how it says battery type lithium, auxiliary battery volts, 13.7, auxiliary battery charge amps, 23.98. You can see the smart battery volts is at 0. You can see the solar charging volts, 29.3. The solar charging amps, and look at that, total kilowatts generated, 47.751 kilowatts. This Go Further Solutions is excellent. Okay, now we're going to go back and we're going to go inside of the battery shunt. Look at that at the top, 93% charging. You can even go into the historical data. You can look time to full charge. So everything links back to the menu, the main summary on the menu, the main summary menu. And then look, you can also see the temperature, 28.3, charge amp hours, 79 amp hours. Let's go back here. And then we just want to show you, because right now we currently don't have a load on the inverter, but what we're going to do is we just turned the inverter on, and we're going to plug in our air condition on the inverter. So I'm going to open up, so you can see right now that there's 0 watts right now on the inverter, and we just turned the inverter on with the remote, and Tony is going to just plug in our window unit, and we're going to give it a second, and now you can see that 57.46 watts is coming in on the inverter. Okay, let me go. Oh, you can also change the name of your inverters. So I did want to point that out. And then now look, it says the watts increased. So let's go here. So that was the surge from the AC unit, but now it's showing, I think the AC unit is on fan mode.
Yeah, it's on fan mode.
Yeah. So you can see the output volts, the output amps, the temperature, the battery volts. So let's go back a moment. So I just want to note that with the Go Further Solutions right now, for our system, we have the DC-DC charger that we can monitor the battery shunt and inverter. But if you had the ignition for your starter battery, then you will also have additional things you can see. So now I just want to show you, with the load on, it says that our discharge watts is now a negative 168 with the loads, and that's only because we have 2 solar panels that are 200 watts each, which is 400 watts. But if you add additional solar panels, then you won't have the discharge. So the discharge now is coming from the 7-kilowatt batteries, because we're using part solar and part of our batteries now because of the load that we added onto the inverter. Alright, y'all, we decided to come back and give our honest review after we've had the system installed for a while and use it. And you saw Tony, he DIY installed the system based on Renogy's diagram and manual, and then you saw me go over step by step with how everything is connected, and also through the Renogy app.
The system came with a full setup. We didn't have to buy anything. It came with the shunt, the inverter, the bus bars, the breakers, the batteries, even the solar panels. But I want to point out something, for your boats, campers, RVs, off-grid cabins. This is the system for you.
One of the great things I like about this system is that now we don't have to just depend on shore power and plug into our shore power.
Okay, I just want to point out that the app is very helpful. You can understand your solar, you see how much power coming in, you see how much you're pulling out, you see everything on the app. The shunt down here, the charge controller, and the inverter. But another thing I want to point out is the DC-DC charger that you can actually, you have an RV on wheels that moves, you can actually plug this under here in to your alternator and you begin to charge. But the app is very, very helpful. We really like the Go Further Solutions. The batteries is clean, The setup is clean.
Because this system is a 7.6 kilowatt system and the batteries has a lot of storage, I strongly suggest you do get more solar panels. The system comes with two 200 watts shadow flux solar panels, which means if there's a shadow or something, it's still supposed to pull in, draw some power. However, that's 400 watts and you have 7.6 kilowatts of battery power, so it would take longer for that 400 watts to get started. But with that being said, if you top off your batteries, you know, you got to keep in mind, remember in the app where I showed you how it started discharging when we plugged in the AC unit, so it was pulling in 322 watts, but it was discharging like 100 and something watts from the batteries to make up the difference. But if you had more solar, you can actually get more wattage. And I believe the system can bring in up to 800 watts of power. And so we're going to have our links in the description. But basically, so when you get this system though, it's nothing that you need to purchase. You can really start going further, put everything up together, and start connecting everything you need in your RV, and not just your RV, but if you have a cabin, you can use this and that. You can basically use this system for off-grid for almost any setup. Overall, for this Renogy Go Further Solution, our recommendation is thumbs up.
Yes.
We love it.
We love it. We love it, fam.
It's budget friendly.
Yes. Thank y'all for watching. Till next time, Capital City to Cactus Acres. We out.